everybody. Thank you for coming today. What do you guys think of that? Yes or no? No, come on. You have to get. Do you agree with him or not? Come on. Hang on. You guys need to be vocal. Do you agree with him or not? Yes or no? Thank you. Thank you. Do you agree with him? Yes or no? Okay. Well, you need to say so. You need to say so. Okay. No, I have. Thank you. Come on. Just somebody just go and get the police in here. Get the. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The police are here. That's good. Thanks very much. Could you get rid of the guys, please, because we're trying to have a meeting here. I'm having a private meeting, and we're being interrupted. We can't hold it. We paid for the venue, and it's a private meeting, so we need to get rid of the protesters.
So how do we know who's invited?
These guys here at the front. The guys here, basically everybody in the back's not invited. Everybody who's not in who's in the back row is not invited. All the people who are shouting and screaming, they're not invited. Thank you. So just take, yes please. Yeah. Hey, you guys, welcome to co-governance. Welcome to co-governance. This is what happens. This is what happens. This is co-governance. This is co-governance. Thanks so much. Getting all this on video quickly. Oh, good, thank you. Yeah. Have a seat.
I know you don't know me.
Sit down, please. Sit down. Yep. At thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend our free land. A Pacific triple star from the shafts of strife and war. Here amazes heard afar. God defend New Zealand. Co-governance. This is what it's like. This is what it's like. This is co-governance. We're getting a live example. I asked these guys to come today to show us what co-governance is going to be like, and they're putting a good show on, right? They're putting a great show on. Okay, we'll carry on while the police do their good work, which is to get rid of the crowd that we don't want. And anybody can stay here. If you want to stay here and listen, and you're a Maori, welcome. I've got friends who are Maori. I've got mates who are Maori. But they're not the people who are here today. So if you're a Maori and you want to stay here, you're welcome. But you've got to listen. This is my meeting. I paid for it, and so it's my meeting, and it's not for you to say what I do in my meeting. So either move out or come and sit down and be quiet. Because this is pretty much like our marae. This is our marae. This is our marae, and on a marae, I don't come onto your marae and rough it up and come on with protests and start shouting and shit, because I've got more respect than that. I've got respect. Come on, what do you think of that? You guys have to tell me. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome to come here. If you want to sit down, you're welcome to. Thank you. Yeah. Just wait for the police to do. Just wait for the police to do their things, and then we'll be good to go. Thank you. Yeah, close that door. Oh no, keep it open. No, keep it open. Okay, I think they've sort of settled down a bit, so now we can make a start. If you want to register for my blog, are we a bit loud here, Andrew? Where's Andrew? Where's my sound man? Andrew's not here. He needs to turn this down a bit. Andrew, keep an eye on the sound, mate, please. I think is that a bit too loud? Okay. Okay. If you want to receive my blog each day, I want you to text that number from your phone, and that'll go through to a sort of a call centre, and you'll be able to get my blog every day, and if you want to, and you can keep in touch. Okay, so let's get on with what we're going to talk about today. Here we go. This is Chris Hipkins, and hopefully we've got sound, Andrew. Hopefully we've got sound on this, because this is... maybe we need to close that door. Because... This is Chris Hipkins talking about co-governance.
Prime Minister, co-governance came up again at Apartheid today. You've spoken about...
Andrew, we haven't got sound, mate.
And others are misinterpreting it to raise fear. Government have some responsibility for that, for not explaining it properly, and what will you do to address that?
Look, as I said yesterday, co-governance can mean different things in different situations. We should have a mature discussion about it, not one that's informed by bumper sticker slogans. We should make sure that we're informing New Zealanders what we're doing and why we're doing it. As I indicated yesterday, the last National Government entered a multitude of co-governance arrangements during their time in office. In fact, some of the co-governance, or some of the examples put forward by the National Party yesterday of initiatives that they support have elements of co-governance within them. So if we think about, Kura Kaupapa, for example, the Wānanga, even Whanaora, there's elements of co-governance within that.
Okay, that was Chris Hipkins talking about it, and now let's have Mr. Luxon see what he said.
Co-governance has been messily handled and explained by this government because they haven't been upfront on such a big constitutional issue. They haven't taken people with them, and as a consequence become increasingly divisive across New Zealand.
What do you mean by the conversation has been immature around co-governance?
Well, it has been. It's been immature and divisive because essentially the Prime Minister hasn't come forward, spent her huge political capital making the case to the New Zealand people and taking them with her on it, and then having a decent debate and discussion about it. They've been calling for a decent discussion about it.
Okay, that's what Mr. Luxon and that's what Mr. Hipkins said about co-governance. In fact, what we're doing today is we're obeying the Prime Minister and we're obeying the Leader of the Opposition, who was saying that we need to have a mature discussion about co-governance, and the only people here who are not being mature are the people at the back. The very people who are supposed to be our treaty partners are the most immature people that we have in New Zealand. And look what they've done to our meeting. We're supposed to have a mature, says Mr. Hipkins and Mr. Luxon, a mature discussion. And that is not immature, what's been going on here. So let's keep going on. I just want to point that out. Okay. New Zealand, I need somebody up here to work my mouse for me, please, because something's gone wrong with my mouse, right? So somebody just come and sit here with a chair. Thank you. Just grab a chair and just need to touch the button. New Zealand is at war. Yep, now that might sound like a very heavy thing to say, but New Zealand is at war. That's the button there. Just touch that one, but that's it. The Encyclopedia Britannica defines war like this. Next one. It says a conflict between political groups involving hostilities of considerable duration and magnitude. So we are involved right now in New Zealand with an issue of considerable magnitude, which is the takeover of New Zealand by elite Maori or tribal representatives. And my book, just give me a copy of my book, down there. No, that's not my book. Quickly. My book that I've just written, we sold 5,000 of these in 2 weeks, and it goes through, this details exactly how elite iwi, I'm not against all Maori. Like I say, I have friends who are Maori. I have people that I relate to who are Maori who are ashamed of what's happening in New Zealand. I've got Maori that I know who are my friends, and they are ashamed of what's happening in New Zealand. They are not with elite Maori. They are not with the treatyists, the treaty twisters. They're not with them at all. In fact, the average Maori on the street has no idea what's going on. But I'll tell you this, that the average Maori on the street and everybody else in New Zealand is going to get screwed over. Next one. So who are we at war with? Well, I've already made that clear that we're at war with elite Maori, not all Maori. Keep going. We're at war with the media. We're at war with the media in New Zealand. Okay, Mr. Police Officer, Mr. Police Officer, can you please allow us to have a meeting? Can you please just get these guys to move off, because we're trying to have a meeting and they're interrupting our meeting. Thank you. Do your job. If they're shouting out, they shouldn't be here. We're all with the media. I am amazed, as I have engaged in this campaign to stand up for democracy, to fight against apartheid, to fight against separatism, to fight against... I am amazed that the media has been bought out by the government. Now, I'll tell you what happened. When COVID hit New Zealand, media outlets struggled to get finance. And they had ongoing outgoings like rent and leases and wages. And so by the end of COVID, they were in debt. They were in trouble. So what the government did is they, through the $55 million Public Interest Journalism Fund, what the government did, thank you, we've got two on now. What the government did is it's too loud. This, Andrew, needs to be turned down. It's not too loud? Okay. What they did is the government set up this fund and they said, if you want to get some free money from us, you can. And of course, those media outlets, that was like giving Kentucky Fried Chicken to a starving family. They wanted that money badly and they signed a contract. But here was at the bottom of the contract. They got tricked. And here's this is the T2ET framework for news media from page 3. The Public Interest Journalism Fund must achieve all of these things. So if you signed up, this is what you had to agree to. Now the public has not heard this, but this is the truth. You needed to actively promote the principles of partnership. That is, T2ET partnership. You needed to say on your TV show, on your radio, in your newspaper, that we support the idea of partnership with Maori. And that's what it was demanded of them. That was in their contract. That's why you suddenly had TV1 and TV3, you suddenly had Maori content, Te Reo appearing out of nowhere, and then it got more and more and more and more, and I'll tell you why that was. Because in that contract it said this, hang on a minute, in that contract it said this, if you do not meet the threshold of Maori content in your TV or in your newspaper or on your radio, we are going to recall your money. So what happened was they got trapped. They borrowed $1 million. They said, we'll have $1 million and we'll take that money. And then the government said, ring them up and say, hey, you haven't got enough content, you better up it or we want that money back. We'll recall the loan. So they got trapped. And that's why this whole thing with co-governance is about deceit, it's about lies, and it's about pulling the wool over people's eyes. And we're not having it. We are not going to stand for this. It also said participation and active protection under T2ET o Waitangi from... Do you know what? I've had Maori say to me, hang on, I'm not going to engage with him, righto. Acknowledge Maori as a T2ET partner. They had to do this. This was not voluntary. This was you sign a contract to do this. Now this is journalism. I'm talking about journalists. They were told, if you don't say this, you lose your money. You tell me if that's democracy or if that's not dictatorship. If that is not putting the media in New Zealand in your pocket, I don't know what is. So we now have a North Korean style media in New Zealand who is in the pocket of the government. The contract further states that Maori have never ceded sovereignty to Britain or any other state. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? They have never ceded sovereignty. Well, we're going to look at that in a minute because I'm going to take you through the Treaty of Waitangi, the actual treaty. Right. This means our society has a foundation of institutional racism. This was in the contract. This means our society has a foundation of institutional racism. You're just blocking that just slightly. Just move over this way a little bit. That's it. This means our society has a foundation of institutional racism. We live in a society that perpetuates racism and inequities. That was a statement that the media was required to perpetuate. They had to go on and they had to say this was all true. Next one, please. Next one, please. With whom are we at war? Let's go for the next one. After the next one. History-ignorant politicians. We are at war with history-ignorant politicians. Between 1975 and 2023, we've had a series of politicians on all sides of the House, Labour, National, the Greens, Mr Finlayson, Mr Key, Bill Rowling back in 1975, he foolishly signed up to the Treaty of Waitangi Act 1975, which established the Waitangi Tribunal. That has become the biggest racket in New Zealand's history. That has become the biggest racket in New Zealand's history for giving away money to people who don't deserve it. Next one, please. We're at war. You just watch the screen, just one at a time, darling. And if you want to go back, go back. Next one. We're at war with Maori activist journalists. Do you know what? I want to tell you something. I receive lots of mail actually from Maori, and they show me the journalists who are sending them articles, material, and they're absolutely full of lies. They're full of lies, which is why this group down the back here is here today, because they've drunk in the lie, and they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing, because they have been brainwashed by Maori activist journalists. The government departments which are run by activists. Next, we have been at war with government departments who are run by activists. I'll tell you what they're like. I've got a beautiful piece of land in the Bay of Islands. Mr. Policeman, can you guys please do your job? Get them out. Hey, who's in charge of the police here? Please get them out. Because, you know what? They need to do their job. They need to do their job. The police need to do their job. This is my meeting. I paid for it, you paid for it, and so we want to have it. Next one. There is activism in the education system, the brainwashing of young people at kindergartens right up to university. The new history curriculum portrays Maori as pre-1840 as a lovely people who were living peacefully in a Shangri-La in New Zealand. They were not. In fact, Maori were self-annihilating between 1800 and 1840. The population went down from 150,000 Maori in 1800 down to 70,000 Maori in 1840. And the reason that the Treaty of Waitangi was signed was that Maori came to the British and said, we want your protection. That was it. Next one. We're warring with European lawyers and consultants who have sold their soul to the country for filthy lucre. There is a massive gravy train of European lawyers and European consultants who are feeding off this whole treaty industry. And they are making a fortune out of it, and I feel that they should be ashamed of themselves because they're helping for the takeover of our country. Next one. Thank you. We're warring against Christian churches which have become woke and PC, all the while thinking that running with co-governance they are putting a smile on the face of God. They are not. Many churches have just joined in without really knowing their history, without really studying their history, and they have just joined in because they as a church, and if anybody knows how churches work, I do. What they do is this. churches want to win people into those churches, and so to try and get people in, they're trying to please them. They're trying to please everybody. And of course, that includes Maori. And so churches have become woke. Next one. The laid-back nature, you've got it, the laid-back nature of European Kiwis, whose mantra is she'll be right. Until they taste tribal rule. Until they taste tribal rule. Kiwis, not you guys, but there will be, when you have tribal rule, it will not be funny. This is tribal rule. Next one. Who started this war? Who started this war? Who started this war? Okay. It's a war between tribal representatives who are elite Maori and the rest of New Zealand. I did not start this war. This war was started by the elite iwi, not me. So give us a clap for that. Come on, that's the truth. Sometimes they're called keep going. Sometimes they're called treaties. Next one. Elite Maori treaties are a distinct group. Keep going, please. They are maybe 1,000 in number. Next one, please. They do not represent all Maori or the vast majority of Kiwis. Next one, please. We are fighting for Maori and for the 159 other cultures in New Zealand. Let's go through them. I have friends who are Maori and they are angry about the situation the tribal leaders have created in New Zealand as I am. Next one. Tribal leaders are feathering their own nests out of nothing but to further their own interests. Keep going. And if they are not stopped, New Zealand is heading to become the Zimbabwe of the South Pacific. If they are not stopped, New Zealand is headed to being the Zimbabwe of the South Pacific. Did you hear that? Okay, next one. Just flick through them. Flick through all those names. Indians, Africans, Chinese, Czechs, Japanese, Samoans, French, Thailands, Germans, Croatians, Eskimos, South Americans, Italians, Filipinos. Hang on, go back. Just go back. Go back one. That's it. All these people, are all these nationalities, 160 of them in New Zealand, are they all entitled to being treated equally? Yes or no? Come on. Yes or no? They are. Because we are all equal. Get that on your camera. We are all equal and there are no special people in New Zealand. There's nobody who's a cut above everybody else. Nobody. We are all the same. Next one. This is Tiffany O'Regan, Ngā Tahu leader. He said this. Sir Tiffany O'Regan has been known to hint that if Ngā Tahu and other claims before the Waitangi Tribunal are not met, there is a danger that Maori activists may resort to violence to get what they want. What does that tell you? That's a statement of war. That is a statement of war. He's saying if we don't get what we want, there's going to be war. So that's not me who started the war. Okay, next one. Ken Mayer, the leader of the militant Te Aha Kaha group, he said, we will take back our country by any means. Next one, please. The Maori Party has clear goals. No, not too fast. It has a 25-year plan. They want self-management, self-determination and self-governance over all the domains. They want a separate Maori parliament with 15 to 17 seats and control over $20 billion of annual self-managed spending. Next one. They want the abolishing full and final treaty settlements. Next one. They want the handing back of all conservation land to Maori. Now listen, hang on a minute. Maori want $20 billion. A billion is 1,000 million. They want 20 billion a year. You know what that works out to with a population of 5 million people? That's $4,000 for every man, woman and child in New Zealand. That's what they want for Maori sovereignty. Actually, it's Maori takeover, not Maori sovereignty. Lawyer and historian Stuart C. Scott asserts this, claiming has become an integral part of the Maori way of life. The thought of the extinction of further claiming rights for final settlements is abhorrent to the race. Keep going. Maoridom does not want settlement. It wants to nurse its grievances and continue its claiming ad infinitum. So, keep going. The push by tribal leaders for co-governance and partnership if not stopped, is going to destroy New Zealand. So what is co-governance? I want to explain what it is. You've come here to hear this, so let's go through it. Okay, here we go. It means this: two complete governments that overlap. Next one. A new written constitution based on a new interpretation of the Treaty of Waitangi. Next one. At least 5% of all procurement contracts must now go to Maori businesses. You know what the government has said is this: or 5% of all new procurement contracts must go to Maori. What's that? Apartheid. That's what that is. That is apartheid. That's treating one group in society with favour. No, we're not standing for that. All government departments, agencies must now provide a report that shows at least 5% of the procurement of goods and services was for Maori businesses. Next one. Next one. Media. Specific guidelines for the media. $55 million public information journalism fund established. If media outlets want a slice of this fund, there are strict conditions. Next one. You cannot present a point of view that opposes the government's race-based agenda. News must cover stories that support the government-approved narrative. Maori language and culture are now being forced into government departments, local authorities and state-funded media. Next one, please. Dock and land. They want the transfer of the ownership and control of the entire conservation estate to tribal authorities. Next one. The Department of Conservation has now formed Options Group Development Group. This group has made a recommendation to give full control of governance of all dock land to Maori. That means that when you want to go to a ski field, a river or a mountain, you're going to have to pay a toll. You're going to have to, and the beach, you're going to have to pay a toll. If you want to go out fishing, you're going to have to pay a toll. When you move between areas in New Zealand from Waikato to Auckland, you're going to have to pay a toll, an iwi toll. When water leaves your property, you're going to have to pay a toll. When water comes into your property, you're going to have to pay a toll. Are you happy with that, yes or no? Yes or no? Are you happy with that, yes or no? Well, you need to say so. Next one. Education. Rewriting New Zealand's history. Skipping the Musket Wars and pre-Maori history. Showing pre- and post-European Maori is different from what was observed and recorded by early Europeans. Teaching critical race theory. Teaching racial bias. Teaching primary school children without Maori ancestry to feel ashamed. If you're Maori, with the new curriculum, if you're Maori, you're good. If you're white, you're bad. I don't want my little daughter coming home thinking she's bad because she's white. Come on. If you want to pick on anybody, pick on the adults, but not the kids. Come on. Health. What does it mean for health? Two healthcare systems. A Maori healthcare system funded by the taxpayer, decision-making and veto rights over the entire health system. Many people don't realise this. You need to get my book. Here's my book. Maori have stated in this, it's all properly referenced, that by 2040 they want to be in complete control of New Zealand. That's correct. Next one. Justice. Two justice systems. A Maori court system where offenders with a Maori ancestor will be treated differently from other offenders. Two jail systems. Maori jails where inmates with a Maori ancestor will be treated differently from other inmates. Western common law replaced by tikanga, that is Maori customs and practices. People of Maori ancestry will have greater legal rights. What do you call that? That's apartheid. That's what it is. Look, that is apartheid. Say no. Say no to this stuff because it's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. And we're not having it in New Zealand. Come on. With water. Let's go through. You're doing a good job. Thanks, Dana. Keep going. Granting Maori all rights to all fresh water. Next one. Councils pay Maori for water. Water costs and rates will go up. Giving Maori funding to cover all legal costs to claim the seabed and foreshore from mean high tide out to 12 nautical miles. Opponents to Maori must find their own legal costs. Next one. Local council. Iwi have decision making and veto rights. Veto, if you don't know what that means, veto means you have the final say. You have the final say. So it's not 50-50, it's you have the final say. Maori have the final say. That's what veto means. Are you happy about that? Come on. Are you happy about that? Yes or no? That's with everything. Next one, please. Local Government Minister Mahuta is now undertaking a review, and it appears likely to lead to 50% of the council seats being held by Maori. Next one. Is all this legal and constitutional, or is it a coup? Is it a coup? Is this all legal, or is this a coup? I'm telling you, the only way we're going to find out is to go back to the Treaty of Waitangi, so I'm going to take you through it. Here we go. All right. The treaty makes no mention of partnership or co-governance. Let me show you. Now, this is taken from the Littlewood draft because, let me explain what happened. The Maori Treaty, the Maori Treaty is the treaty. It's the one we should all be working from. It's the treaty that Maori signed. Now what happened was this. Just before the night of the signing, that treaty, the final draft of that treaty was given to the Edwards father and son who translated it into Maori. And what happened was this. That was the Maori Treaty was the one that the chiefs signed. The final draft from which that Maori Treaty was formulated was given to a lawyer by the name of Littlewood. And forensic evidence, it was found in 1989. It was lost between 1840 and 1989. And it was found. And because of all this stuff, activism, and because of the treaty gravy train, that copy of the treaty was put away in the archives, deep in the archives of New Zealand, and it's been missing since 1917. Now, here's the thing. So I am going, if you want to know, look at me. If you want to know what the treaty in Maori says, you read the Littlewood draft, because that is exactly what it was translated from. Okay. So this is the Littlewood draft, Article 1. The chiefs, you guys should learn something. The chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes, this is what the treaty says. Don't go too fast. Go back one. The chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs who has not joined the Confederation cede to the Queen of England forever the entire sovereignty of their country. That is what Article 1 says! That is what it says! Come on, you guys, you've got to help! You've got to help me! That is what the treaty says! The next one. Cede means to give up or to give somebody control. Next one. Sovereignty means government or complete power to govern a country. Next one. Does this article teach, instruct, convey the idea that Maori would be self-determining, having their own government? Yes or no? Quickly. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Quickly, go through it. Keep going. Is it not going? Go. Yes or no? Next one. Next one. If we extrapolate out what the words cede and sovereignty mean, this is how the Article 1 reads. The chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs who have not joined the Confederation give up to the Queen of England forever the entire right to govern their country. They gave it up. They gave it up in 1840. So this stuff we're seeing here is nonsense. Keep going. Co-governance, it's an impossible interpretation. Partnership, it's an impossible interpretation. From the first article of the treaty, you cannot get anything about co-governance. You can't get anything about partnership. It's just not there. So how have we got to that? I tell you how we've got to it, by fraud. By fraud and corruption since 1975 to now, it's all about fraud and corruption inside the Treaty of Waitangi Act. That's how it's happened. And my book details how it happened. All right, this is one of your people. This is one of your people, Saraparana Nara. He was perhaps New Zealand's greatest Maori. He was an MP. He was called the father of the house in Parliament. In Parliament, he was called the father of the house. And he was one of the perhaps the greatest Maori. And he went round all the maraes in New Zealand, and he spoke to all Maori on all maraes. And this is what he said. These are but few words, Article 1, but they indicate a complete cession. This was the transfer by the Maori chiefs to the Queen of England forever of the government of their lands. Keep going. It is absolute authority over the Maori people which the article transmits into the hands of the Queen and Parliamentary Council. Next one. The main purport was the transferring of the authority of the Maori chiefs for making laws to their respective tribes and sub-tribes under the Treaty of Waitangi to the Queen of England forever. These are the words of New Zealand's greatest Maori, who knew more about the treaty than anybody in this room. I'm telling you. Next one. It was the first article of the treaty which transferred the chiefly authority of your ancestors, affecting you and your future generations forever. Now he says this: the treaty made one law for Maori and one for Pākehā. If you think things are wrong and bad, then blame our ancestors who gave away their rights in the days when they were very powerful. Come on, you guys, I want you to give us a clap for that. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. I want you to repeat this after me. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. Come on. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. That's my friend, Sir Aparana Nara. Because he is. He's the friend of democracy. He's the friend of democracy. Next one. You're going wrong. Article 2. The Queen of England confirms and guarantees to the chiefs and the tribes of all the people of New Zealand the possession of their lands, dwellings and all their property. Next one. Next one. But the chiefs of the Confederation of the United Tribes and the other chiefs grant to the Queen the exclusive rights of purchasing such land as the proprietors thereof may be disposed to sell at such prices as may be agreed upon between them and the person appointed by the Queen to purchase them. That's Article 2. Does this article teach, instruct, convey the idea that Maori would be self-determining, having their own government? Yes or no? Quickly. No! Or that the Queen enter into a partnership with Maori? Yes or no? Let's go. The answer is no. Keep going. Article 2, if we look at that again, keep going please. And again. Co-governance? Absolutely not. It's an impossible interpretation. Partnership? There is no mention in the Treaty of Partnership in Article 2. So we've been through Article 1, no partnership. Article 2, no partnership, no co-governance. So far we've only got one more article of the treaty to go through to see if it's there, because I'm telling you it's not in the first two. So let's go to the last one. This is what it says, Article 3. In return for the cession of their sovereignty to the Queen, the people of New Zealand shall be protected by the Queen of England, and the rights and privileges of British subjects will be granted to them. Does this article teach, convey the idea that Maori will be self-determining, having their own government? Yes or no? Or that the Queen entered into a partnership? Yes or no? Answer is no. Keep going, please. Article 3, if we look at it, does it teach co-governance? No. It's an impossible interpretation. Partnership? No, it's an impossible interpretation. What I'm saying is this: we've just taken you through the 3 articles of the treaty. None of them teach partnership or co-governance. There you go, that's it. Winston Peters. He said this: does the treaty teach partnership? It is truly staggering that a claim of partnership for Maori is being based on the Treaty of Waitangi. If Mr. Peters was here, he would say, hey, it doesn't teach co-governance, it doesn't teach partnership. When Queen Victoria was not in partnership with anyone in the UK or the British Empire on the day before the 6th of February 1840 or the day after. Keep going. Please, you're doing really well. Next one. This is Judge Anthony Wiley, retired District Court Judge and Canterbury University Law Lecturer. He said this: Maori and the Crown are not partners in any sense of the word. It is constitutionally impossible for the Crown to enter into a partnership with any of its subjects. Next one, please. Next one. David Lange. David Lange, the great Labour Party Prime Minister. Even he said, it is impossible to have co-governance and democracy. You can't have the two together. It's either one or the other. Well, I'm not having co-governance, I'm telling you. Did Queen Victoria for a moment think of forming a partnership with a number of signatures, a number of thumbprints of 500 people. Queen Victoria was not that sort of person. We can have a democratic form of government or we can have Indigenous sovereignty. They can't coexist and we can't have them both. That's David Longy. Next one, please. Now, I want to take you back. Just put this all up on the... Yeah, keep going until that's it. Now I want to take you back, all the way back to the Public Interest Journalism Fund. Because if you look at that, we've just been through the treaty. The Public Interest Journalism Fund is forcing the media to lie. It's forcing the media to lie, to push a narrative that is not true, that can't be found in the treaty, and that is fraud. You tell me, if the media in this country is as corrupt as that, we're in tremendous trouble in this nation, because the media has signed up to be corrupt. Dr. John Robinson, one of New Zealand's greatest researchers, has said this: many of the activists and iwi leaders intend a totally dual government system with separate Maori and non-Maori houses of parliament, and a Maori veto on all legislation. A Maori veto on all legislation means private tribal companies have the final say on everything that goes on in New Zealand. Next one. On what laws and legislation are passed and accepted in both houses of parliament. Dr. Robinson goes on to say the words in the Hei Puapua report insist that full authority must go to Maori. Listen, hang on, listen to this. Listen to me. Listen to this. I'm not making this up. I'm getting this from documents in the public domain. But people say to me, oh, you're a racist. No. I'm getting all this from documents written by Maori. Come on. I'm not a racist. I'm getting this from documents written by Maori. Come on. This is not my opinion. This is fact. This is what's happening. Come on, give us a clap for that. Next one, please. Next one. Everyone else will be disenfranchised. Next one. This is the blueprint for the complete rule of New Zealand by a determined minority. Next one, please. Conclusion. This is the conclusion. A coup by stealth is in progress in New Zealand. Please don't be naive and easily fooled. Co-governance is not about co-governance. Co-governance is code for the takeover of New Zealand by tribal companies and their representatives, the final end game being the installation of tribal rule. I had David Fisher from the New Zealand Herald ringing me all the time, and he says to me, I want you to define co-governance for me. And I said, mate, read my book. He said, no, I want you to give it to me. I said, read my book. I hung up. Anyway, 10 minutes later, I want to hear your definition of co-governance. So I said, okay, I'll give it to you. Here it is. That's the definition of co-governance. That co-governance is code for the takeover of New Zealand by tribal companies and their representatives, the final end game being the installation of tribal rule. That is... You weren't listening. You were not listening, because I said that is my interpretation. So I am the reference. Because, okay, you're not my bro, but you were dancing with me a minute ago. Tribal representatives have openly stated they wanted to be in complete control by two... Okay, next one, please. Keep going. We're going well. Here's a reality check. If we don't stop co-governance, I'm serious, if we don't stop co-governance, New Zealand is headed to becoming the Zimbabwe of the South Pacific in no less than 15 years. I am warning New Zealand. I am coming like a prophet. Like I am warning this country. If we don't stop this, that is what's going to happen. Next slide. Are you okay about that? Are you okay about that? Tell me, is that okay for you? Well, you don't sound very convinced. Are you okay about that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? No. Well, stand up. I want you to stand up and say, no, we're not having that. Come on, you've got to get going. Thank you, madam. No, we're not having that. No, we're not having that. We're not having it. We're not having Zimbabwe. We're having New Zealand back. We're having this country country back. We're having this country back. And it's not going to be Zimbabwe. I'm telling you. Thank you. Have a seat, you guys. Thank you. Next one. So here's our call to action. Next one, please. What's the plan? Repeal all race-based legislation. Launch a royal commission. By the way, if you don't know what race-based legislation is, it's any legislation that treats somebody with favour over everybody else. That's got to go. That is apartheid, and we're not having it in New Zealand. It's got to be a level playing field for all New Zealanders. All New Zealanders, not some. That is a level playing field for all of us, and we've got to have it. Launch a royal commission to investigate a trail of treaty and Waitangi fraud and corruption. Next thing, vote for the party which is going to completely outlaw co-governance, not just tinker with it, rearranging the deck chairs. In my opinion, every single party that's out there now is talking about some level of co-governance. I'm saying it's got to be expunged. Expunged means it's got to be taken out like cancer. You want every bit of it out of the body. You don't want any of it left. We want to stage a peaceful rally in Auckland before the election at the Auckland Domain with 100,000 people. Chris Trotter just wrote an article about me. He said I was a fascist. Hasn't been to my seminar. Says I'm a fascist. And he says we need to have 1 million Kiwis on board to get 100,000 people. I reckon we'll get 100,000. I'll tell you why. Because the only thing that politicians take notice of is votes. And if they see 100,000 votes on display, they'll take a hell of a lot of notice, I'm telling you. So I hope you guys get there. You better be there. I'll be taking photos of you, making sure you're there. Yeah, you. Okay, I'm just joking. Only a show of solidarity will force our politicians into solid policy legislative commitments to outlaw co-governance. Votes speak louder than words, so only a visible demonstration of voter abhorrence to co-governance will affect real political change. Next one. Sign up on that website. Next one, please. Keep going. Ask all your friends and neighbours to do the same. Come, keep going. I want you to donate. Keep going. Give generously. It costs a lot of money to put these events on. I don't receive a salary. We'll totally depend on donations. 2 of our team will be at the door. 2 of our team will be at risk. Hang on a minute. Okay, I'll talk about that. Yeah, right. Okay. I gave up my... These are little puddles. You'll find them at the end of your thing. If you don't feel safe giving, this dear lady here says she doesn't feel safe giving with these guys here. Oh, yeah, right. So you can give online. You can give online. If you go to our website, you can give online. Yeah, thank you. Okay, next one. This is our business card. Provide Gareth with your physical address and courier. We'll courier these out. We're going to give these away for free. We give the business cards away for free. So you should have some in here. Yeah, there are some in here. Look, here they are in your thing. There's the business card. Put them everywhere, please. You can really help because I need you to participate. I need you to help. Okay, pick up a pack of my books tonight or today. The best way to stop co-governance is to get the word out to neighbours and friends. Do a letterbox drop in your street. So get some books tonight or today and receive a free copy of, in your pack. I've given everybody a free copy of my book in my pack. So in your pack here, everybody's given a free copy of my book so you can read it. But what I want you to do is this. We've started an initiative where we're saying this. I've got a fantastic guy in Wellington who's helping me, and we want everybody to do their own street. He's keeping an eye on all the streets, and he's recording all the streets that have been done so we don't have any double ups, but I just want you to, it's called Everyone Do Their Street. And if you can do that, we've got it nailed, because we have to go around the mainstream media. We can't rely on the media to help us, so it's you guys. I need you. I need you to help, because this is what we're going to get if we allow this to keep going. Do you want more of this? Man, nobody wants more of this stuff, right? Next one, please. Okay, that's it. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. We made it. We made it through. I need a badge for that. Thank you, girl. We made it through. You know what? To me, this is a great thing, because you're fighting for your country. You're not fighting for a sports club or something, you know. You're fighting for your country. There's nothing greater than that. Okay. Now we're going to have question and answer time. We're going to have, yes, thank you. I'll take your money if you've got a donation to make. Thank you, down the back. We're going to have question and answer time. Do you reckon we should or not? Well, we could try it anyway. I think we should try having question and answer time. Let's get the microphones. Where's my friend, Andrew? Somebody got a question for me? Andrew? Yeah. Where's Andrew gone? Where's my friend Andrew gone? Yes, sir.
This would never happen on a variety.
No, I'm saying that. Yeah. Okay, we're going to try and, hold on a minute, just hold on to that for a sec. Do you know this? As I said at the beginning, this would never happen on a marae because we have more respect and we're more educated and we have more decorum and we know boundaries. These guys know no boundaries. They know no boundaries. This would not happen on a marae. Where's the TV guy? This would not happen on a marae. This would not happen on a marae. And that's because you guys here, we would not go on to somebody else's marae and carry on like this. Okay, our first question. Yes. Have you got the microphone?
I just wonder, with what's happening, haven't we had enough division from the government with mandates and all the rest of it? Do we need this sort of division in our country?
We don't need division.
No, but hang on. I know. We don't need the division, okay? We need to have our love for each other.
Well, what's this? What do you call this? Is this our? This is not. This is disrespect.
Listen to me.
This is trashing somebody who's come to the town.
We don't need the division. Between everybody, we don't need this division.
We don't need this.
We don't need it. We need love. We need.
Do you want me to answer that? No, that's enough. That's enough. I'm going to answer your question. Hey, Gavin, take the microphone.
We need unity. We need to unify as a country. We don't need division between Maori and Pākehā. We don't need it. We need to have love. We need to have the strengths. We need the strengths of both the European and the Maori, and we need to build New Zealand up to be the perfect country it was, where we all work together.
Okay, give him the microphone. Do you know something I've observed in all my meetings, that I've done? One thing I have observed, I'm going to answer your question. Seriously, I'm going to answer your question. If people would just be, I'll answer your question. I have observed in all my meetings that the people who turn up here are over 50. And do you know why that is? Because they have lived through the best time in New Zealand when there was fantastic race relations, there was no division between Maori and everybody else, and that's why they're here. And that's why they're here, because they have known that. They have known racial harmony. They have known racial harmony. That's why you're here, because you want to get back to it. Is that true? Next question, please.
Yeah. Is this on? Right, okay. Hand up if you are a human on planet Earth. We are all inhabitants of the Earth. Let me explain.
No. Hang on.
Let me explain. You might learn something. You might. Mr. Corporate,
Come over here.
okay. Mr. Corporate is driving this legislation to divide you.
Hey.
The legislation is working brilliantly to divide you.
I know. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to a close. I think we've got the message. I think you got the message. You know what to do. You know what the problem is. I'm going to close the meeting. Notice, I closed the meeting, not the police, because in Dargaville they said the police had to come in and break up the meeting, which was a total lie. So I want to. No, the meeting's over. No.
Well, can I ask you a question?
No, the meeting's over. The meeting's over. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. No, the meeting's over. Thank you very much. Thank you. What's your genuine question?
Would you quite happily walk a day in my life? As a Māori?
I don't know what your life is.
Well, as a Māori, so you're trying. Why